The myth is saying that the tears of Isis over the death of her husband Osiris created the Nile flooding. Of course, this was not the case, but this was the myth. And we are celebrating Wafa al-Nil, or the day or the festival of the Nile flooding, on August 15th, according to our old calendar. But to shed more light on this and to continue with the rituals, with the celebration, with the festival, when and how it was celebrated here in Egypt thousands of years ago, we are very much delighted to have with us via phone Mr. Ahmed Nour, our historian and researcher. A very good morning to you, Mr. Nour.
Good morning, Nermeen. Good morning. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir. Wafa al-Nil, or the Nile flooding. Let's start from scratch. When exactly, or approximately to be accurate, it was celebrated?
Wafa al-Nil, or this celebration, may be started before the unification that we know in 3200, maybe started in 4200 BC, when they reached to the ancient Egyptian calendar in this area of Poto, or the kingdom to the north of Egypt, when they reached to make the first calendar that started when the Nile, or the flood, reached also to this area of On, or Ono, Ain Shams nowadays. When they started to connect between that and see for how many days will start again and will reach to this point, they found that it is 360 days. And after that, they noticed the star of Sobdet, or Al-Shara, that we call it nowadays, 5 days more. So they reached to 365 days of the year, that they divided in 3 seasons.
Seasons,
The flood,
yes.
They divided in 3 seasons. One of the main seasons of this 3 seasons was the flood of the Nile. 4 months that you are celebrating 15th of August with the high level of this flood nowadays. When they divided in 3 seasons, one of this season was the season of the Beret, Shimu, and Akhet. One of this season was the flood of the Nile, divided each season for 4 months, and each month in 3 weeks, and each week in 10 days. And after that, divided the day in 24 hours. Anyway, when we speak about this celebration, maybe started in that ancient period, because the Nile is the life for the ancient Egyptian people from the prehistoric period, and from the first unification that they reached to do 4200 BC, not the second one, or the famous unification that we are usually mention of Narmer, or many 3200 BC.
And how it was celebrated, sir?
It was a celebration in all the country, because first the king himself must do everything to be sure that the water will be enough for agriculture first, or maybe if it will be a high flood of the Nile, to protect the the river itself, to the 2 sides of the Nile, to the east bank and the west bank of the Nile, to protect all the village and all the country against the high level of the water of the flood of the Nile. They were celebrating first, the high priest must do the celebration in all the temples to the north and to the south, and the people in the 2 sides of the Nile are celebrating. We have many stories that they choose the pretty girl to make it as offering for the god or for the Nile. It's not true, because it must be it must be only maybe a bride, maybe made out of wood, or make a statue, like, because we have no human offering in ancient
Sure.
Egypt.
Yeah.
So they maybe only it was a statue that we aren't sure, because you know that all this we know from stories, but we had no something written that saying exactly that they offer a girl or a
We don't
statue.
have
Or
this culture in our history, but
we have no.
let's focus on the way we do celebrate. For example, for how many days? For example, the Egyptians by then used to wear something new, to eat something special as a dish for celebrating this festival. What?
In this festival, like we mentioned, usually it is religious, connected with temples and connected with priests. So, in any feast till nowadays, all the people are wearing a new clothes, and also they are doing purification in the Nile itself. And this custom we can see also continue to see this kind of purification maybe in another name, in other religion in Egypt. Because of that, they made also the holy lake in the temple connected with the Nile to do the purification, and then to pray. And also the people are going for the symbol of God of the Nile that they call Habi or Habi, because this is not the God himself, but a symbol of the Nile, that they represented this God with all the treasure, with the lotus, with papyrus, with like a rich human representation for this symbol of the Nile, and then to celebrate of Itiru'a. Itiru'a is the name of the Nile, like they mentioned. It means the great river. So they are celebrating of the great river that they called in the Greek period Nilus. Also maybe comes from the ancient name Ni Itru, or the branches of the Nile. Anyway, in this celebration, we don't know exactly the color or how it was the clothes that they used, but they used.
We know a lot of information, as you've kindly mentioned, sir, but exactly from where we knew all this? I mean, was this written on the walls of specific tombs, for example, on some papyrus, or what?
Not tombs, because usually they represented a part of this celebration.
Oh, temples, I mean, I'm sorry.
Of the temple. Yeah, you are right. And also from the people who visited Egypt, like Herodotus, like Plutarch, that we know many things of this writing from the 7th and the 6th and the 5th century till the 1st century BC and the AD for the Greek historian visitors who visited Egypt and started to write this information. So some of this information also is not are not proved, and the other already connected with the stories that they heard from the high priests and the high officials that they met, like the construction of the pyramid. Also, we know apart from our excavation of the village of the workers.
And we are going to discover many other things, as our civilization has endless secrets. Well, Mr. Ahmed Nouruddin, our historian and researcher, thank you very much for your input, sir, and have a very good day. Well, we are going to continue with celebrating our Nile River. The flooding, or Wafa al-Nil, is going to remain in our calendar as it was in old Egypt. The Nile River is going to continue being our source of welfare, prosperity, and progress, inshallah. By this, we come to the end of our breakfast show today. Tomorrow is another episode and another cruise. Stay tuned on Nile TV International always for more updates. And for more details, please log on to www.nileinternational.net. Many thanks for watching. This was Nermeen Abdurrahman.